Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Deep Waters with Debrah Waters. We're right in the middle of the deep, talking about perfectionism. Some people call it the pursuit of perfection. And we're asking, is it helpful or harmful? Is it good or bad? You always say, strive for perfection, strive for perfection. When does it become a problem to strive for perfection? When does perfectionism, cross the line between good and bad? Are you a perfectionist? Do you know someone who is a perfectionist? Is your spouse a perfectionist? How do you deal with them? Are you in a relationship with a perfectionist? How do you deal with them? How does it affect your relationship with them? Is it good or bad? So far, we've been trying to actually understand the perfectionism in what sense. And like I said, when I had this topic in mind, I had it in relation to things and in terms of the way people perceive you. But now you guys have finally found a way to open up the topic to the point that you say perfectionism also applies to a person striving for perfection or being, a better version of themselves. And some of you even said that it's not possible for a human being to be perfect, but it's possible for the things that they create or the things that they control to be perfect. Guys, my head is really busting right now. But thankfully, I have a special guest with me in the studio, a wellness coach, a business leader. She's an expert in health, wellness, business leadership, and of course training. And she's a wellness coach that helps but also she's also one of those people that help the founders of Relax and Renew Wellness Spa. I was going to mention that. And which goal is to help people live healthier and more fulfilling lives. And at the same time, she works with as a business leader and trainer at the DDA Africa network, where she has history of successfully managing teams and taking an important roles in different companies. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me Coach Fatima Ibrahim. Fatima she said she doesn't stay in one place. She says she travels around the world. South Africa, Mauritius, Abu Dhabi for conferences and trainings. And you know why I'm so excited? Because wellness has to do with your well-being, both mentally and physically, and that is what Fatima Ibrahim is all about. For someone to actually have a spa, you already know what that is all about. And somebody is not a business leader and a trainer, a whole package. I have a combination of all that and more. And today we're the best person for the job will help us understand what perfectionism or the pursuit of perfection is all about, and should we be striving for perfection or not? Because with the way you guys have said this thing, now it's beginning to look like maybe we should not even strive for any perfection. We should just do our day. Everybody should just do anyhow, and see where the thing will carry us. They go whether it will carry us, they go where we don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, Ibrahim, my special guest in there. See where I'm just biting my tongue. God help you today, Fatima Ibrahim. Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
You look absolutely gorgeous.
Thank
beautiful.
You don't look bad yourself.
It's today October 1st because I want to know now.
Okay.
You are repping Nigeria.
Repping Nigeria for real. Okay, it's actually green is life.
Okay. So you're repping the brand.
Yes.
I know. Green is actually life. Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you so much.
So, let's talk about perfectionism, striving for perfection or the pursuit of perfection. We've had so many definitions, and that's one thing we have on this show. When I open up the phone lines, everybody's head starts to spin, and everybody starts to give their perspective of the topic.
Yes.
But as a professional, what is perfectionism? Does it apply to things, or does it apply to people, or what is that word in itself?
Okay, when it comes to perfectionism, it's actually more of a personal trait. So it's a personality trait of an individual who perceives everything to be flawless, perfect. They want everything to be without mistakes, without excuses, they just want everything to be done sparkling. When you wash clothes and you want it sparkling clean, spotless, flawless. I want everything to go the way I want. So they are more like a one-sided individual. But one thing about perfectionism is it's a double-edged trait. So you can't even say you have to be perfect, but a trait of it, tends to help you become better, especially when you're trying to pursue excellence. So any individual who tends to want to pursue excellence will work in that light, but we don't see it as perfectionism. We see it as somebody who wants to strive for greatness. We see it as somebody who wants to strive for something better, But when it becomes excessive, when it becomes to the extreme, there's a level of setting high standards, and most of the time they are unrealistic. So you want to do something, take for example, you want to write a note or a letter, you have to proofread it like several times. Like, hey, are you sure I'm not making mistakes? They don't want to make any mistake. So when you see people like that, you don't have a choice but to know that, no, this person is a perfectionist. So when you see perfectionists, they tend to drive themselves, they tend to drive other people. In fact, they tend to drive everything around them, because they don't want any mistakes at all. So when you see perfectionists, they want to be in charge. Nobody can do it better than me. Nobody can do this task better than I can. Nobody can handle this better than I can. So most of the time, you see a perfectionist being like a workaholic. They can work so hard. They put in all the effort because they feel they are the best person for the job. So because of, I don't want to leave room for mistakes, they put in so much, they do so much, and most of the time it has several traits we're going to be talking about. But majorly it's divided into 3 areas, or let me say 3 types. Now we have the area where you are a self-oriented perfectionist. So you are somebody who, to yourself, you just want it me and me. Everything should just be about me. I'm a perfect person. I display perfectionism. I show myself to the world as the best. Now we have a level where it is socially prescribed. Now at this point, a lot of other people out there needs to see you. When you're socially, you want to show to the world that yes, this is me. This is who I am, but based on how other people get to see you. So you want people to know that I am just me. When they arrive into a place now, they want to be announced. So you see individuals, they want to be, my arrival should just be announcing. And most of the time, this individual, especially when he talks about others. Now, when we have other oriented, see to it to be like other people should see you in that light. You want them to see you in that light. You want them to be able to understand that if it is not perfect, then it is not perfect. Now, there are so many factors that enhances this. Now, we have factors like, let's say medically now, genetics. Probably it's from the family background. You see it through, oh, my mom wants me to do things this certain way, So genetics leads to what we now call parental control. A family where a child is not expected to make a mistake. Over time, it becomes a part of that child. And before you know it, that child will take that information, that ideology, that knowledge, it takes it out, not knowing that that's not the way it's supposed to be. Now, a child made a mistake at home, there's a corrective measures. Now, there are several corrective measures we can have in different families based on, but a place where is either you have first or nothing. So it's either you win or you lose. It's a detrimental state where things either go the best way or it goes wrong. Now, because of this fear of I don't want things to go bad, so most of the time these people, they are embedded with fear, and most of them, they know it. They know it. Some people these days have come to enjoy it. They come to enjoy, and some people who lack that understanding, you see them saying things like, I'm a perfectionist, without even knowing that it's not normal. It's not normal, but because you've carried it for a very long time, it becomes a part of you, so you feel it is normal. In fact, some people take it as a compliment.
Yeah, but I hear you. They take it as a compliment, but we can't now say that perfectionism or perfectionist, being a perfectionist, is all that bad, because by the time you look at it, there's some good to it. Like sometimes it pushes you to do better.
Yeah.
People know that they can't mess with you.
Yes.
They know that nonsense, so I have to do it well. It has to be perfect.
No.
And so there's some. Would you say there are those things, those slight things are not good?
One thing is, there's always a saying of too much of everything is bad. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, the good part of perfectionism is way too low. And when you weigh your option and you see the higher part to be more, then you know where you are headed to. Most of the time you see people who are perfectionists, they achieve less than individuals who are not even perfectionists.
Really?
Yes. By statistics, we get to understand that individuals who tend to make mistakes, pick it up, quickly move on, they tend to do more. So when you see perfectionists, these are individuals, number one, they go through procrastination. They procrastinate a lot. Do you know why?
Why?
Because they do not want to show themselves to the world as being weak or making mistake. So you see these individuals, they have, just like I said, it's a double edge. What they show to you on the outside is actually different from what is really inside. So when you have an in-depth timing, and you can't tell who a perfectionist is by just relating with them first time, second time. No, you can't really. It takes a while. It takes a really close marking to be able to know. So most of the time you see these individuals, they procrastinate. Okay, take for example, we have a program like this, and one way or the other, a perfectionist will want to look at every reason why there shouldn't be a mistake. But one thing is, mistakes in life is normal. Life is not supposed to be all bed and roses. There are days you are up, there are days you are down. But one thing is, the day you are up, make a use of it. And the day you are down, pick the lesson and move on. A perfectionist cannot do that. When they find themselves in a place of making mistake, they go into hiding. You see them they can't handle failure. They cannot just handle failure. An average normal individual, maybe a conscientiousness, someone who has more of being consciousness and all of those, they can easily make mistake. Their emotional intelligence will tell them, let us move on. But you see somebody who is a perfectionist, they can't handle it. Because they have shown to the world that I am a perfect human being. They can't afford to show that other part of themselves. So you can't see their weak moments. You can't see them cry. You can't see them in pain. You can't see them going through so many things. So because of that, you can't say a perfectionist is perfect, because nothing is perfect. Now you see these individuals, they put in so much, so they are always under anxiety. This anxiousness, it comes. It gets to a level they go through depression. When you see perfectionist and you see depression, that's why sometimes some people say a perfectionist is more of a mental disorder. No, it leads to mental disorder. Because when you are a perfectionist, you want everything. And take, for example, out of 10 people around you, you are the only one that is perfect. What do you think will happen to the remaining 9 people? They run away from you. So most of the time, they're in isolation. They only console themselves with the pride of, I am the best. That's the only consolation. There's a story of a young man, Brian Wilson, who used to be a musical artist, rock back then, many years ago anyways. And this guy, is a perfectionist. He wants everything done well. So he would not release music like every other day. Why? Because he's looking for that perfect timing, that perfect song that will just make anything blow. But you know what happened at the end of the day? What? This guy brought out a wonderful album. This album was so interesting, exciting. But do you know one thing? That album did not reach out to be the best. It did not meet up to be number one. In fact, when they were checking the history of records of what is the rating, it actually became number 2. Now, as an individual who is not a perfectionist, being number 2, is it that bad?
It's not that bad. No.
It's not that bad.
You are okay.
You don't understand. But a perfectionist cannot handle that. So this guy went into depression, went into drug. In fact, he was indoor doing nothing practically for 3 years. So you can imagine how a perfectionist can be. So when they make a mistake in one line, they see it as a total failure. Now, the moment it is a total failure, they move on to something else. The same thing will still happen. Because life is not linear. It's not a straight line. There are days you go down. There are days, it's up and down, So when you get to individuals like this, they suffer anxiety, they suffer depression. They want to be all in. All or nothing. That is their motto. So it's either they have everything or they have nothing. In a relationship, it is crazy. Imagine you find yourself, probably your spouse is a perfectionist and you are just like a normal person. You can put something here and they tell you that's not the way it's supposed to be. and they suffer what we call OCD, you know. And these individuals, either you like it or not, they want everywhere to be spotless, flawless, sparkling clean, you know, everywhere. So imagine the trauma. Some people is as a result of trauma, they got to that level. Traumatic experiences, probably from abuse or so many child abuse. So they get there. Now, while all of these are actually happening, is that the best a human being should go through? It's not. And that is why when you find yourself headed that way, all you just need to do is to be mindful of your environment.
Okay, be mindful of your environment. Before we continue, this is Deep Waters with Debrah Waters, and I have with me Coach Fatima Ibrahim, wellness coach, business leader, helping us understand the topic of the day, the pursuit of perfection. Is it harmful or helpful? If you have questions and thoughts and comments, feel free to join the conversation. Call in on 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. Let's take a caller. Hello. 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 All right, your number to call is 0705 993 6937 or 0705 993 7937. You have questions and thoughts and comments, feel free to join the conversation. We're talking about the pursuit of perfection. Is it harmful or helpful? Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, Abubakar, thanks for calling.
Hi, Debrah, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you too?
Fine, Fatima Ibrahim, this is Abubakar Ibrahim. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Oh, well done. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Debrah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Perfectionism. I think there are people that are perfect, but mostly they do things that are maybe perfect, but they themselves are not perfect. Not perfect in the sense that you have to practice more than once what you do to become a perfectionism. So like they say practice makes perfection. When you practice every day, maybe in some activities, maybe when you perform, you have an exceptional performance. I think from there maybe you are perfect. But really, nobody is perfect because you can't start something today and get it right. So, but when you continue, there are things you do, maybe in your field, that you become perfect. So I think that is my own explanation.
All right, Abubakar, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on what Abubakar said? So, are you guys saying it's not possible to have a perfect human being?
No.
Someone that just does the things right at the right time in the perfect way? I think it's possible.
I'll tell you, it's better you seek progress than you seek perfection. Because most of the time when you try to go the edge of perfection, you can do something, like I said, the extremity, the excessiveness. An individual can do something and get it right. An individual can do something, just like I said, practicing. You can be better, but not perfect. Because that person who is perfect at something today, tomorrow something else might happen. When you're a perfectionism, you don't want to make any mistake. That's what we're saying.
Yes.
So when you see people like that, there's nothing you can do. That's just who they are. An individual who wants to be better will go in that direction, but not with the mentality of I am perfect.
Okay, so now I've realized somebody listening out there feel, oh, I think what Coach Fatima has said, some of the things she said sounds a bit like me. You know, I like to just get things done to the nitty gritty. People even call me perfectionist. I want my partner in a certain way, to look a certain way, to be just perfect. I know this sounds like me. You know, how can I, give up on perfectionism?
Okay, now when we talk about giving up, it's not always easy, especially something that has become a part of you. Before you say something is already a part of you, by the time you're 30 years old, this should have been a part of you up until that age. So by the time you're getting to the age of 30 and beyond, and you are in that state, all you just need to do, number one, you can seek help. But before you seek help, you must first of all accept it. There is a place of acceptance. Getting to understand that, okay, this is who I am. But this is not supposed to be the way it is. So practicing mindfulness is very important. Being mindful of the fact that what if something goes bad? What can I do better? That's where emotional intelligence comes in.
What about for people who perfectionism have worked for over the years? You know, I've heard you say, oh, yes, it's more harmful than helpful. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. But what if it has worked for you over the years?
It has worked for you. You know, one thing is, it will work for you until a time you cannot manage it. It means you're doing something and you are better. You're doing it and you are getting it. At the point of making any silly mistake, can you handle it? That's the point. At the point where things did not go in your way or the way you planned it, what would you do? So when you see, take for example, you're going for an examination. You've prepared yourself. Everything is all well. Get set. I've read. I'm good to go. And by the time you're getting to the examination, or I don't know, anything can happen awfully. I've seen people, or I've heard about people who committed suicide because they made a mistake that they cannot afford to show that I made this mistake.
Interesting. We're going to take one more call, and then you help us understand, how to overcome perfectionism in a bit. Hello.
Hello, David.
Hi. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. First I greet you.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm enjoying your explanation. Honestly, you're really pieces the fact you're tearing it apart.
She's tearing it apart.
Let me just bring this thing in. Let's assume that you have a boss in the office that is a perfectionist, and you as a worker. How do you handle that situation? Most of people, if we open this phone line now and keep it on from now till evening, you will agree with me that 75% of those that we call will disagree that they won't work under such a boss. Because you as a worker, you won't have rest. You won't have peace of mind. Because those kind of people, if any slightest mistake you make or you made, you're fired. Now you're coming to work, eventually maybe there was a hold up, you're 2 seconds late from the time that you're given to you to resume office. You're fired.
Interesting. Well
so
said.
This kind of people, they are more dangerous than being good. If you were under them, if you walk under them, if you have been with them, I am telling you from experience.
Okay, all right, Afam, thank you so much. Coach will comment on that immediately. All right, is it okay to be a perfectionist as a boss? Because imagine you being a boss and you're not a perfectionist. That means the people under you will even be less of. They will, raising the bar. It's like saying you are setting the goal to be 10 over 10.
Yeah.
At least you know that they will fall short and it will still be like 9 over 10. Now imagine you are not saying 5 over 10 is okay.
No, that's not what it means.
Okay.
You can set a high standard for yourself. You can be a disciplinarian. But you can be someone who is conscious. You know, all things being equal, things can go bad. You accept it. You already understand it. But that shouldn't mean you take it for granted. You are my worker. Even if I can understand that, on your way, certain things happen and all of those, it shouldn't be an excuse. It shouldn't be something of a regular. So when you do something once and you say, this is it, you do it twice, you don't understand, then it means that person needs to go through any measures you can give. But take, for example, something happened and really you can really see it. It is explanation. The explanation is there, is explicit. But perfectionists cannot take it.
Interesting.
Is either you are good or you are good.
We have 1 minute to go. So you were saying how to overcome perfection?
Yes, very importantly, you can seek top support.
Okay, seek
support. A therapist can really help you by going through therapy, very importantly. And most of the time, you can connect a bond with family and friends. You know, when you're someone who is open to receiving people, they'll be able to point you. Be ready to take correction. Some people are not ready for that conversation. When you find people like that, there's absolutely nothing you can do to help them. But when they have come to a realization and understanding that, okay, this is who I am, but how can I manage it? Then it becomes better. So, but for individuals who are not ready, you see them, they go through depression, they go through anxiety. Sometimes suicide is the end. They distance themselves away from people. They don't even care. You don't understand? And sometimes they help other people to cut off. Imagine I'm a perfectionist and you're my friend. I can help the whole world distance from you. You don't understand? Because I am you, you are me. We are together. Like nobody. You don't understand? So they tend to shut other people out of your life. Now, while they are affecting themselves, they are already tagging you along. So when it gets to that point, you must make sure you come to a realization. Like I used to say, a problem not identified cannot be solved. So when you identify it that yes, there is a problem, yes, I know there's something I can do about it, then it will be easy for every other thing to work well. It will be easy for you to relate with people. Okay, things you used to, you try and adjust. You know, therapy will do so much, behavioral. You know, helping you to work on your habits, helping you to work on your behavior. Try new things. You know, do something outside your regular environment. Meet people outside of your regular environment. Now, all of this will help you shaking your orientation, your thinking, to know that life is not perfect. I say perfectionism is an illusion. You don't understand, and it is dangerous.
Very dangerous. Fatima Ibrahim, right there, wellness coach and business leader, one of the founders of Relax and Renew Wellness Spa, and she's helped us understand what this topic really is all about: the pursuit of perfection. Is it harmful or helpful? And what would you say to that? Is it harmful or helpful?
Well, I would say it's in the middle. I won't go for, because one way it is helpful. It helps you to stay on your toes, meeting up with targets, getting things done, achieving results. Fantastic. It helps with self-improvement. It helps you to be an improved version of yourself. But aside that, the other side is more than the plus.
Interesting. How can people find you on social media?
Well, at Coach FTMA on Instagram.
Okay. That's how would you spell that, Coach?
Coach, then FTMARH.
Okay, and that is it's about perfection today, perfectionism. So yeah, if you have discovered that you're a perfectionist, you need help, you can also reach out to our wellness coach here, Coach FTMARH, Coach Fatima Ibrahim. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. This has been an amazing one.
Yes,
to all my callers and listeners, thank you for making this show an amazing one. I'll be back again on Wednesday at exactly 5 p.m. for another amazing show for you. Don't forget to follow at deepwaters_podcast for more exciting content and of course deep meaningful conversation. My name is Debrah Waters, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye bye.